What if the old underwear hiding in your drawer wasn't trash, but treasure? Today we're going to flip the script on something nobody talks about, turning worn-out underwear into clever, useful, and even beautiful DIY projects you'll actually love. Welcome to EcoCraft Studio, where recycling meets creativity and even the strangest items find a second life. In this video, we're diving into 15 upcycling ideas with old underwear. Practical, quirky, and surprisingly fun. Every idea here is for inspiration only. Feel free to adapt, experiment, and make it your own. Maybe to you, I'm just another face on a screen. But every view, every comment, and every subscribe helps keep this dream alive, and proves that even the weirdest DIY can bring people together. Thank you for being here. What if the old underwear hiding in your drawer wasn't trash, but treasure? Today we're going to flip the script on something nobody talks about, turning worn-out underwear into clever, useful, and even beautiful DIY projects you'll actually love. Welcome to EcoCraft Studio, where recycling meets creativity and even the strangest items find a second life. In this video, we're diving into 15 upcycling ideas with old underwear. Practical, quirky, and surprisingly fun. Every idea here is for inspiration only. Feel free to adapt, experiment, and make it your own. Maybe to you, I'm just another face on a screen. But every view, every comment, and every subscribe helps keep this dream alive, and proves that even the weirdest DIY can bring people together. Thank you for being here. Sometimes the most unexpected vessels carry the most tender beauty. In a quiet backyard, what once lay forgotten in the bottom of a drawer now cradles the fragile beginnings of life. The soft fabric of an old pair of underwear, stretched gently across a nail, becomes a pocket for soil, roots, and green ambition. At first, it feels unusual, even strange, to imagine such an item repurposed in this way. Yet when you see marigolds blooming from that humble cloth, the transformation feels almost poetic. There is charm in the contrast. The worn texture of fabric, faded with time, holds something fresh and alive. Basil leaves spill over the elastic, rosemary stretches skyward, and mint whispers its cool fragrance in the warm air. Every thread, once woven for comfort, now serves another purpose: to nurture, to protect, to carry growth forward. And perhaps that is the quiet lesson hidden in these planter pockets, that usefulness doesn't end when the original story closes. The garden laughs at convention. It doesn't mind where roots begin, so long as they find a place to hold on. Neighbors might smile at the sight, children might laugh, but soon they'll lean closer to touch the soft green leaves. They'll discover that creativity is often born from daring to see ordinary things differently. In a world where we are told to throw away what is old, these little planters stand as reminders that life can bloom even from what we dismiss. The herbs, the flowers, even the tiny succulents nestled in fabric folds, each tells the same truth. Growth doesn't demand perfection. It asks only for space, soil, and care. Whether hanging from a wooden fence or resting on a balcony rail, these cloth pockets breathe a new rhythm into the garden. So, the next time you consider what to discard, pause. Imagine what beauty could still emerge, what quiet service an object might still offer. In the right light, Even the most ordinary fabric can hold something extraordinary, a small miracle rooted in the soil of imagination. Comfort is not always bought. It can be stitched together from what we already have. In a quiet corner of a living room, a plump cushion rests, soft and inviting. At first glance, it looks no different from any store-bought pillow. Yet within its patterned cover lies a secret. The filling is made from fabric once thought useless, from old underwear carefully cut, folded, and tucked inside. There is a kind of gentleness in this act. What once touched the skin daily now offers comfort in another form, transformed into the unseen heart of a cushion. It does not boast or demand attention. Its presence is humble, but every time someone leans back or lays their head down, the fabric whispers of second chances. The process itself feels almost meditative. Sitting at a table with scissors in hand, you slice through elastic, cotton, and faded colors. Piles grow, soft and varied, like clouds gathered for a new purpose. You hold an empty cushion cover, and as you fill it, the fabric begins to take shape, swelling with quiet resilience. What was worn is now reborn, not visible but deeply felt. Placed on a garden bench, the cushion looks perfectly at home. The daisies nearby nod in the breeze, and ivy leans across the wood, wrapping everything in softness. The cushion belongs here, a little patchwork of hidden stories inside. Perhaps that is the beauty of it. Not every Comfort is not always bought. It can be stitched together from what we already have. In a quiet corner of a living room, a plump cushion rests, soft and inviting. At first glance, it looks no different from any store-bought pillow. Yet within its patterned cover lies a secret. The filling is made from fabric once thought useless, from old underwear carefully cut, folded, and tucked inside. There is a kind of gentleness in this act. What once touched the skin daily now offers comfort in another form, transformed into the unseen heart of a cushion. It does not boast or demand attention. Its presence is humble, but every time someone leans back or lays their head down, the fabric whispers of second chances. The process itself feels almost meditative. Sitting at a table with scissors in hand, you slice through elastic, cotton, and faded colors. Piles grow, soft and varied, like clouds gathered for a new purpose. You hold an empty cushion cover, and as you fill it, the fabric begins to take shape, swelling with quiet resilience. What was worn is now reborn, not visible but deeply felt. Placed on a garden bench, the cushion looks perfectly at home. The daisies nearby nod in the breeze, and ivy leans across the wood, wrapping everything in softness. The cushion belongs here, a little patchwork of hidden stories inside. Perhaps that is the beauty of it. Not everything has to shine in plain sight. Sometimes value lies beneath the surface, hidden from the eye but known to the body. To rest on such a cushion is to rest on patience, resourcefulness, and care. And so, the next time there is an ancient comfort in quilts, as if each stitch holds not just fabric, but memory. Imagine spreading a blanket across a bed, knowing every square carries a story. Threads from days gone by, patterns once hidden in drawers, fabrics that have touched life in the simplest, most intimate ways. What once was old underwear, faded and set aside, is now reborn as a quilt that warms not just the body, but the heart. The process begins quietly. A wooden table, a pair of scissors, and fabric scraps cut into shapes. Squares, triangles, uneven little pieces that fit together like fragments of memory. There is patience in the act of sorting, choosing, and arranging. Lace edges brush against cotton solids. Stripes play beside plain colors. And together they form a kind of harmony only time could create. Each stitch becomes a meditation. The needle slips through fabric, thread pulls tight, and slowly the quilt grows. There is no rush. The beauty lies in the slowness, in the care placed into every seam. It is not perfection that gives the quilt value. It is the story woven between the irregular lines. When the quilt is finally draped across a bed, sunlight dances across its surface. The room feels softer, filled with warmth not from the fabric alone, but from the knowledge that nothing was wasted. What once seemed unworthy has become a tapestry of resilience. Children curl beneath it, love. There is a quiet dignity in the simplest of tools. A rag may not seem like much, yet in its soft fibers lives the power to refresh, to restore, to bring back a quiet shine. What once was underwear, worn, faded, no longer fit for its first purpose, becomes a faithful companion in the rhythms of daily life. On a kitchen counter, a humble stack waits. Strips of cotton, lace edges, even elastic seams, each cut and folded with care. They are not glamorous, but they are honest. With them, you wipe away crumbs, polish wooden surfaces, catch the unexpected spill. In their service, the home feels lighter, cared for, alive. There is something grounding about holding a rag in hand. The act itself connects you to the simplicity of care, cleaning not just for necessity, but for the calm it brings. As you pass the rag across a table, you see your reflection return in the polished wood, and you feel the space around you breathe again. The transformation feels almost poetic. What once touched your skin in private now serves the whole household. And in this, it proves that usefulness doesn't fade with wear. It only shifts, changes form, finds another path. A laundry room shelf stacked with soft rags tells its own quiet story of resourcefulness. They wait patiently for their turn, ready to serve in countless little ways. No need for. In the quiet rhythm of making toys, there is a kind of tenderness that lingers in the air. On a small craft table, pieces of old fabric lie waiting, worn underwear cut into soft strips, ready to begin a new life inside something joyful. They are no longer garments, no longer private or hidden, but soon they will be the heart of a toy, the secret softness that makes a child smile. Teddy bear takes shape first. Its seams stitched carefully, its button eyes glimmering with a promise of comfort. As the old fabric is tucked gently inside, the bear grows round, warm, huggable. It is a transformation almost invisible to the eye, yet deeply felt in the hands that cradle it. What once held a body now holds laughter. What once was discarded now carries joy. On a playroom shelf, toys sit patiently. Plush animals, dolls, creatures of imagination. One has a patch across its belly, a small repair done with care. Inside, hidden away, are scraps of cloth with long-forgotten colors and patterns. A child hugs it tightly, never knowing the story stitched within. And perhaps they don't need to know, for the love they feel is enough. There is a simple beauty in this cycle. The unseen fabric offering comfort to little hands, becoming part of a memory that will outlast its threads. These scraps, given freely, become companions in bedtime rituals, protectors in dreams, friends in afternoons of play. As you tuck the last piece of fabric into a doll's seam, you pause for a moment. It's not just about recycling, not just about saving waste. It's about giving some. There is a quiet satisfaction in opening a drawer and finding order where once there was clutter. Socks folded neatly, scarves resting side by side, tiny treasures each with their own place. But what makes this moment more meaningful is knowing the compartments holding them together were once something else entirely. Old underwear, repurposed into small fabric dividers. The elastic waistbands, once stretched around daily life, now stretch across the wooden frame of a drawer, forming pockets of order. The cotton panels, faded with time, become gentle partitions that guide each item into its space. What once served the body now serves the home, not with glamour, but with quiet usefulness. On a craft table, Scissors rest beside piles of cut fabric. Each strip tells a story of wear, of passing seasons, of the everyday. And yet here they are, stitched, folded, pinned into something practical. There is beauty in their humility, in the way they extend their life by offering structure instead of softness. When the drawer slides open, it feels almost like a secret garden of organization. No more tangled scarves, no more missing socks. Instead, every piece rests where it belongs, cushioned and guided by cloth that has lived another life. There is no shame in its origin, only pride in its transformation. And perhaps, in this quiet act of recycling, lies a deeper lesson. Life too in the simple joy of play. Pets remind us of what it means to live fully in the moment. A dog tugging at a rope, a cat chasing a ball across the rug. These are the little dances that brighten a home. And what makes them sweeter still is knowing that the toys bringing such joy are not store-bought, but handmade from old fabric, repurposed with care. A strip of underwear, cut and braided, becomes a rope strong enough for a playful tug of war. A cat bats at a small ball stitched from scraps, its tiny paws pressing against fabric that once lay forgotten. These toys may not be polished or perfect, but in the eyes of a pet, they are treasures. What matters is not how they look, but how they feel, how they move, how they carry the scent and warmth of home. The act of making them is just as comforting as the play itself. Sitting with scissors and fabric, weaving strips into knots, rolling scraps into balls, it feels almost like a gift of love. Not expensive, not complicated, but deeply personal. Every tug, every chase, every pounce is a continuation of that gift, a thread of connection between you and your companion. A basket filled with these handmade toys sits quietly in the corner. To others it may seem ordinary, but to the pets who pull from it each day, it is a chest of delights. The sound of paws skittering across the floor, the wag of a tail, the purr of contentment, all these moments grow from fabric once discarded. And perhaps that is the hidden beauty. That joy doesn't have to come wrapped in plastic or tied with price tags. It can come from what we already have, transformed with a little patience and imagination. Pets don't ask for perfection. They ask for love. And in these humble toys, in the quiet company of gardens, even the simplest forms come alive with character. Among rows of corn and tomatoes stands a figure stitched together from scraps. A scarecrow, dressed not in fine cloth, but in bright old underwear. What might have been thrown away now waves gently in the breeze, keeping watch over tender shoots and ripening fruit. There is humor in the sight, of course. A waistband stretched across a straw-stuffed frame. Fabric colors faded but still vibrant against the green. Birds hesitate on the fence, tilting their heads as if uncertain whether to laugh or fly away. And in this playful confusion, the scarecrow fulfills its role, guarding the harvest with charm rather than threat. Building one feels less like a chore and more like play. With a stick for a spine, straw for a body, and fabric scraps for clothing, each piece takes on new life. The underwear, once personal and private, becomes a banner of resilience. Its elastic flutters in the wind, its patches tell stories of wear, and in its oddness, it brings a kind of joy to the soil it protects. Children giggle when they see it, neighbors pause to smile, and even the gardener finds comfort in its presence. The scarecrow is more than a sentinel. It is a companion, a reminder that creativity doesn't need polish to be effective. There is something deeply moving about creating art on fabric that once carried another story. A simple wooden frame, a stretch of cloth cut from old underwear, and suddenly, what was once destined for the trash becomes a space for imagination. The fibers are imperfect, the weave not as smooth as store-bought canvas, but in that imperfection lies charm. Each brushstroke feels more personal, more grounded, as though the history beneath the paint whispers softly through the colors. In a quiet studio, sunlight spills through a window, lighting up jars of paint and brushes resting in a chipped mug. Against the wall, several canvases lean, each one born from scraps of fabric stitched and stretched taut. Some carry bold swirls of red and blue, others delicate flowers blooming across faded cotton. Every piece is different, yet together they tell a story of reinvention, that art does not demand perfection, only presence. There is a rhythm to the process. Pulling the fabric tight across wood, securing it with pins or staples, smoothing out wrinkles until it feels ready. Then comes the brush, the color, the breath of creativity released onto something humble. The fabric, once private, now holds a vision for the world to see. What might have been hidden in drawers now hangs proudly on walls. Visitors smile at the paintings, perhaps unaware of the fabric's origin, but drawn in by the uniqueness of the texture. The paint clings differently to this cloth, softer, more organic, giving each work a character no store canvas could replicate. And perhaps that is the quiet beauty of it. Art does not demand expensive tools or polished materials. It asks only for courage. To make, to express, to give shape to thought. In these repurposed canvases, there is proof. There is something deeply moving about creating art on fabric that once carried another story. A simple wooden frame, a stretch of cloth cut from old underwear, and suddenly, what was once destined for the trash becomes a space for imagination. The fibers are imperfect, the weave not as smooth as store-bought canvas, but in that imperfection lies charm. Each brushstroke feels more personal, more grounded, as though the history beneath the paint whispers softly through the colors. In a quiet studio, sunlight spills through a window, lighting up jars of paint and brushes resting in a chipped mug. Against the wall, several canvases lean, each one born from scraps of fabric stitched and stretched taut. Some carry bold swirls of red and blue, others delicate flowers blooming across faded cotton. Every piece is different, yet together they tell a story of reinvention, that art does not demand perfection, only presence. There is a rhythm to the process. Pulling the fabric tight across wood, securing it with pins or staples, smoothing out wrinkles until it feels ready. Then comes the brush, the color, the breath of creativity released onto something humble. The fabric, once private, now holds a vision for the world to see. What might have been hidden in drawers now hangs proudly on walls. Visitors smile at the paintings, perhaps unaware of the fabric's origin, but drawn in by the uniqueness of the texture. The paint clings differently to this cloth, softer, more organic, giving each work a character no store canvas could replicate. And perhaps that is the quiet beauty of it. Art does not demand expensive tools or polished materials. It asks only for courage. To make, to express, to give shape to thought. In these repurposed Sometimes the most ordinary corners of our homes can carry extraordinary stories. A laundry hamper might seem like nothing more than a container for clothes, yet when it is crafted from old fabric, it becomes something else entirely. A quiet testimony to resilience and reinvention. Imagine a bathroom corner where a handmade hamper stands, its rim woven from bright elastic waistbands, its body stitched from cotton panels once part of underwear now forgotten. Light falls across its surface, revealing a patchwork that is humble yet endearing. It is not sleek or polished, but it carries warmth, as though whispering, "I am still useful. I still belong here." The process of making it feels both playful and practical. Waistbands, once snug and strong, now stretch into a frame. Fabric panels join side by side, stitched into a tall form that can hold the weight of daily life. Each piece has lived another story, and together they form a vessel for yet another chapter. In a laundry room, towels rest neatly atop a handmade hamper, and shelves above carry jars of soap flakes, brushes, and little bottles of lavender oil. The space feels calm, cared for. It's a place where chores turn gentle, where even the act of gathering clothes becomes softened by creativity. There is charm in the detail too. A braided waistband curling along the rim like a stripe of color, the soft folds of cotton that hold clothes with ease. Even in its quiet role, the hamper feels proud, useful once more, standing steady against the passing of time. And perhaps that is the gift hidden in this transformation. A reminder in the dance of daily life, small things often get lost. Keys slipped between cushions, scissors misplaced, pens wandering from desk to desk. But with a little imagination, even the most unexpected fabric can bring order. Old underwear, stitched and stretched into hanging pockets, becomes not waste but a wall of possibilities. Picture a craft room where sunlight warms a wooden wall. Against it hangs a patchwork of faded cotton, each pair of fabric panels sewn into tidy pockets. Inside them rest brushes, spools of thread, scissors, and little tools, each with its own home. What once lived unseen in a drawer now hangs proudly, visible and useful. In the hallway, another version appears, brighter, playful. Colorful fabrics stitched together hold sunglasses, notebooks, and keys. Neighbors who pass through smile at its quirkiness, surprised that such ordinary scraps could turn into something so practical. It feels less like storage and more like a piece of art. Functional, cheerful, alive. In the garden shed, the same idea carries a different charm. The pockets cradle seed packets, twine, and gloves, ready for the next planting season. The elastic waistbands, once used for comfort, now stretch across the fabric edges as borders, strong and reliable. They frame the pockets neatly, as if proud to serve once again. The beauty of these wall hangings lies not in perfection, but in their spirit. Each piece tells a story of reinvention. Soft cloth once discarded, now guiding the rhythm of daily tasks. To reach into a pocket is to reach into history, to touch something that has carried you before and now carries your tools, your notes, your moments. There is a special kind of joy in spreading a blanket across the grass and letting the day unfold. Laughter, food, sunlight, the whisper of wind through trees. These are the simple riches of a picnic. And when the blanket itself is born from fabric once forgotten, the moment carries an even deeper charm. Old underwear scraps, stitched together in patchwork, become the canvas for memories under open skies. First, the idea seems unusual. Elastic waistbands and faded cotton, lace edges and worn textures. Hardly what one imagines for a picnic. Yet when the pieces are joined, they tell a story that is vibrant and tender. Patterns that once lived hidden in drawers now stretch proudly across the grass, catching sunlight, holding space for joy. A wicker basket rests at its center, spilling apples and bread. Children chase each other across the meadow, returning to sit breathless on the fabric's soft surface. Parents lean back, resting on panels that carry the weight with ease. The blanket becomes not just a ground to sit on, but a bridge between past and present, between what was discarded and what is now cherished. The beauty lies in the details. A strip of lace catches the light, adding a delicate shimmer. A waistband's sturdy banding creates strength across the seams. Each square of fabric holds history, and together they weave resilience. What could have been waste now supports laughter, meals, and stories shared under the sun. When the day draws to a close and the blanket is folded again, crumbs shaken away, its spirit lingers. It is more than fabric. It is memory, stitched and repurposed to serve once more. And perhaps that is the quiet wisdom of this creation, that even the simplest scraps can hold life's richest moments. A picnic blanket need not be perfect. It only needs to carry joy. And when it does, the world feels softer, more generous, and infinitely more alive. Style is often thought to come from what is new, what is polished, what is bought. But sometimes, the most meaningful fashion pieces are born from the humblest of scraps. A strip of elastic becomes a headband. A faded cotton piece twists into a scrunchie. A lace panel folds into a delicate bracelet. And suddenly, old underwear transforms into accessories that whisper of creativity, playfulness, and care. At a small vanity table, a row of handmade headbands catches the light. Their colors vary: soft pastels, bold stripes, gentle lace trims, each one stitched from fabric once destined for the bin. They rest beside a vase of daisies, simple yet charming, waiting to be slipped on to brighten the day. On a jewelry stand in a quiet bedroom, bracelets and scrunchies hang like little treasures. They are not perfect, but they carry something rarer: individuality. No two pieces look the same, and that is their beauty. Each one is stitched by hand, carrying marks of patience and the quiet joy of making. There is delight in the process itself. Sitting by a window with scissors and thread, tying fabric into bows, weaving elastic into loops, it feels less like work and more like play. Each piece becomes a gift, whether for yourself or for someone you love. Small, personal, made from the heart. The accessories carry their own kind of power, not in luxury but in story. To wear them is to carry a reminder that beauty doesn't come only from shiny stores or new materials. It can come from the overlooked, the ordinary, the forgotten. Fashion here is not about excess, but about seeing with fresh eyes, about crafting meaning from what already exists. And perhaps that is the secret charm of these pieces. When you tie your hair with a handmade scrunchie, when you slip a bracelet around your wrist, you carry not just fabric, but imagination. You wear not just an accessory, but a choice. To live gently, to create joy, and to let even the smallest scraps shine again.